Okay, we just completed our first 3 projects and got those out the door and sold. Now we've got a little bit of cash to work with for the next project. So as I'm waiting for comments and ideas to start coming in about what the next shop project's going to be, I needed a small project to fill the gap and to do something constructive with the downtime that I have here in the shop. I have an uncle. You may have seen him walking around in the videos that I filmed, but his name is Lee. He's my shop partner, and he really does a good job around here. He helps me out. He's just here if I need him, and he really enjoys being here and getting out of the house and just doing something different. So let me talk to you about my Uncle Lee a little bit. Here's a picture of him. He is autistic. He's very, very smart. He has a huge memory, and he doesn't forget anything. The other side of that with autism is that you tend to excel in certain areas, but then you are lacking in other areas. And so what my uncle excels in is he's very, very smart individual. He has a huge memory. He has a big heart, and he'll do anything for anybody. The areas that he has trouble with is he has difficulty speaking properly, even though he has taught himself 2 languages, the language of English and Spanish fluently, but he has difficulty with pronunciation, such as I'm having right this minute. But with that, he also has a mind of a child, and so he thinks differently. He sees the world through a child's eyes, and he's a very innocent person. He also is a cowboy. He loves westerns, he loves horses, he loves eagles, he loves anything to do with cowboys and Indians. He really loves. And so since I've been here in the shop, I've been working with these horseshoes here, and he's really been eyeballing them. And he'll pick them up and he'll look at them and he'll ask me about them. And it's kind of funny because every time I bring him in the shop, he's always kind of eyeballing my horseshoes here. So I have 4 left over, and I figured with this time I'd go ahead and make something out of them for him. I didn't know what I was going to build with the 4 left over. I'm pretty much horseshoed out at this moment. I don't really want to clean another one, but I'm going to go ahead and do these last 4 so that I can give it to him and he'll have something to hang on the wall. So what I was thinking was I laid it out over here, and I have just enough to actually spell his name out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these up, and I'm going to spell his name out. It's only 3 letters, L-E-E, and you can see here, this is what an E would look like. So I'm going to clean these up, cut them up, lay them out, and weld them together in the shape of his name, and then present them to him to take home. So again, with that, the first step is to get all the junk and the crud off of them and get them ready for welding. Okay, there you go. I'm sure you're just as tired of watching me clean horseshoes as I am tired of cleaning horseshoes. So I've got 3 more to go. I'll get those done, and then I will get the design laid out. All right, I've got all the horseshoes cleaned up. I've got them laying out here on the table, and this is going to be pretty simple. There's only 3 letters in his name, L-E-E, and I had to decide which horseshoes to use and which one am I going to cut up. So when I talked about looking at your horseshoes and making sure that they're consistent and that they complement each other, with the L, I'm going to use the biggest one, the biggest horseshoe that I have, and I'm going to cut this down the middle, and make an L shape out of it. So then that leaves me with the 2 E's, and it made it pretty easy for me because there's only 2 horseshoes left that look the same, that have the same shape and that have the same indentation in both of them. So I'm going to use these 2 for the E, and that only leaves me with 1 horseshoe left. And so what I'm going to do here is cut this down the middle, and this is going to be the center of the E on both of them. So got to make 2 cuts. First one is going to be this one here, right down the middle, just like that. And the second one is going to be this one. I believe it's going to be down the middle as well. After looking at it, I'm going to do this one off center just a little bit to make a better L shape out of it. To cut this, I'm going to use my favorite tool in the shop. That's this Metabo angle grinder here. And I've got a grinding wheel on it. A grinding wheel is usually thicker. It's made out of a composite material. And what's nice about this model of angle grinder is most angle grinders, there's a tool that you have to unlock this nut with. And it's got 2 little teeth on it, and we'll go in here and grab and unlock the nut, and that's the only way that you can usually take that nut off. With this style here, it's got a hand tightening nut. And so what that means is I can take this off without any tooling, but the way that it is designed, whenever the wheel rotates, it actually self-tightens and self-locks. So I'll let you see what that looks like up close. This is a self-tightening nut here, and here is the lock. And so what you do is you'll spin this until that lock engages right there. So now that that lock is engaged, and you'll just use your hand to loosen the nut like that. And now the nut's loose, and I can just take it off with my fingers, just like that. And don't forget, my power cord is disconnected. Here's a cutting wheel. They look the same from the back side, but if you turn them sideways, you can see that the cutting wheel is much thinner than the grinding wheel. Okay, and the cutting wheel has this metal disc on it. I put that side towards the back, and we've got our nut here. Okay, and to tighten it, I engage the lock and tighten, and that'll be good enough. It'll self-tighten once I get to cutting. It'll self-tighten to where it needs to be. Another neat thing about these grinders is you can adjust the guard quickly here. Other grinders, you have to take everything completely off, readjust the guard, put everything back on. With this style, it's got a pin or a lever right here, and then you can move the guard where you need it, and then locks in place. And so I'm gonna put the guard right there for the angle that I'm cutting in. Okay, I have the general design laid out. One thing that I noticed was that when you have a full U, if I was to take this and make it put it in the same orientation for this one, I would have to flip it over like that. and I don't quite like that look. So there's a couple options. I could use the other horseshoe. I also don't like that, so that's no-go for me. So then I had to think about it long and hard, because the only way for this to go is to be upside down, and that looks a little squirrely also. So what I think I'm going to do is, if you turn this around, you get the look that I'm after, but you don't have the end of the horseshoe like you do on this. And so I think this is a little bit too long to fully extend like that. So I'm going to cut this down almost in half, right about here. I'm going to do the same thing for this one, and then just round this edge off to match this one. So I'm going to do this together. I'm going to lay these on top of each other and get that done together. Also with that, the L, this doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to have to play with it a little bit. I'm going to have to bend this, maybe straighten it out a little bit. Maybe this bottom one also I'm going to have to straighten out. But we're getting closer. So now we got to manipulate the pieces. All right, I got the design laid out, I got everything straightened up, and we're ready to weld it up. Okay, I've got everything cut up and straightened, and this is the design. So I have to flip this around and weld it from the back side.
I'm here now. What are you making? What are you making, Daddy? Lee? Why? What is it? Really? Cool. How are you going to put it together? Are you taking the lid off?
Okay, it's all welded up, 3 easy welds, and now I've got to grind these flush so that they lay down. You can see how high the welds are from being flush. And so I'm going to grind those down so that they lay down properly. Alright, there you go. That's what it looks like ground down, flush. So now these will lay flat. They're still a little hot, but these will lay flat, flush on the surface. Okay, we're ready for paint. Remember how I said I always do the back first, so I've got them flipped over. I'm going to paint the back side. while that's drying, I've got to think about something to put that on. So I was thinking, what could I put it on? And I remembered that I did have a couple pieces of board that me and my son worked on. Here's a couple pictures of me and my son putting these boards together. And so these are just leftover fence panels. We cut these up and we glued them together, nailed them together, and we made signs out of them. So this is one of the boards that I have left over. And it's already put together, glued, painted, and ready to go. So I'm gonna sand this and make it look a little worn. And this is what we're gonna use to mount the letters on here. Again, this is just old fence panels. So if you find somebody tearing down an old fence, or if you've got a fence that you need to tear down and you wanna do a project like this, keep some of those boards around because they make really nice antique vintage look for signs. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sand this to give it a vintage worn look, just to make it look like it came straight off of a barn house. And what I'm gonna use to do that is this grinder here. This is a pneumatic grinder, and I've got this Scotch-Brite brush on here. And even though it's a Scotch-Brite material, it's very strong, it's very durable, and you can actually eat through that wood pretty quickly, so you gotta be kind of careful. And it's got a little safety lever right here, and works just like that. So since my son started this project with me, I brought him in to help me finish. So my son Eli is over here. Go ahead and get up here. And I'm gonna let him finish the sanding. Are you gonna say hi to the camera? And so, like I said, he helped me put these signs together. So I'm gonna let him sand on this one. All right, there it is, finished deal. Turn it around, let's see the back. Okay, let's see the front. Did we build that?
Yeah.
What did we make it out of?
Wood.
What kind of wood?
Fence.
You did a pretty good job.
Okay.
Okay, we've got the board finished. I'm gonna go see if our letters are done drying and then figure out how we're gonna attach them to the board here. Right, they're not 100% dry, but we'll work with it. So we'll get these in place. And we'll measure them out to see if they're aligned properly. That's one of my pet peeves, is having things properly aligned and symmetrical. So this is at 20 inches. So the center one needs to be at 10. And if I space these out evenly, those would be about 4.5 inches from the center. I think we're going to do 4 inches from the center. All right, and from the bottom, 2.5 inches. All right, so they're perfectly centered. And now I got to get that in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse the nails that it came with, straighten them up, and actually use that to nail them to the board. All right, there's the sign. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill 2 holes through it so that we can have a piece of wire to hang it up with. here. All right, here it is. Now maybe Lee will stop eyeballing all my horseshoes and he'll have his own. I hope you like it, Lee. Okay, this is my Uncle Lee. He's my shop buddy, and he's the one that's been eyeballing all my horseshoes I have in the shop. So I made the sign that I showed earlier. Do you like the horseshoes, Lee?
Yeah.
You like the horseshoes that I build?
Yeah.
I made you a picture.
Yeah.
I made you a picture with the horseshoes.
Yeah.
You want to see it?
Yeah. Let me right there.
Yeah, turn it around. Turn it around.
Down. Yeah.
You know what that is?
Yeah. The horse stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what that says?
And my name.
Yeah, it says your name.
Yeah.
That says Lee.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah.
Show the camera. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. And like, share, and subscribe. Fabrication Nation.